January 1st, 2025. But let's talk a little bit. About 2024. For around 13 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years, I always make sure that I take some time in between one year and another year to kind of deal with the previous 12 months and look ahead to the next 12 months. It's a little practice of mine. I'm a man of faith, so at some point invariably I'm going to pray. I'm going to list out things I'm thankful for. I'm going to spend a while talking about things that I really enjoyed and that went well. And then also a lot of disappointments, things that were difficult about the previous year, things that I sort of thought would go one way and ended up going another way or just disappeared off the map completely. But I spend a long time thinking about that. Taking a moment to say a proper farewell to my year, because today it's January 1st, 2025. A blank page, as blank as one of these pages. So we have 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 days. Essentially, outside of different agreements we've made and commitments we've got to do different things, it's a clear page. You and I can pretty much, outside of things we've chosen and we've committed to, demands on us, we can pretty much decide how we spend the next 12 months, the next 52 weeks, the next 365 days. And I love this time of year. I love January. I love September. I love moments where people feel as though they can really make a change, really shift. But I'm aware of some things too. I'm aware that as much as it is 2025 right now, if we don't take adequate time to deal with the things of 2024, we can go into this new year a little bit half-cocked. You see, new year is always about new beginnings, right? But I had a thought about 2025. I don't know what your 2024 was like, but mine was the best of years and the worst of years. It was a time where I completed projects like my book, 16 Years in the Making, where I think I learned some things about myself, crossed a few Rubicons about who I am. But it was a very difficult year in lots of other ways. Money was tight, a lot of stress last year, a lot of days spent worrying about things, of having no margin. So sometimes you're just so keen to get out of whatever previous year. Like, you might have had a great 2024, but for me, I would be, other than maybe just a couple of things, I'd be perfectly happy to have just gone 2023, 2025 in some ways, other than the book coming out. But I've been thinking this year, and maybe it's because of how my 2024 went, I've been thinking that maybe what I need, and it might be true for you as well, is less of new beginnings and more of old beginnings. Old beginnings. Let's think about this in a more practical way. Let's just take a moment. Write this out again. So we're talking about old beginnings, and I'm going to unpack that a little bit. Old beginnings. It seems to me that with every year that passes, there is a certain amount of things left undone that you long to do. There's a certain amount of stuff that you wished you'd given time to, effort to. I would wager that for many of us, there are whole chapters of a year that get left in that year for whatever reason. And if we're not careful, the power of our culture, the desire for new things and new beginnings and be the new you and drive forward, can mean that we jettison perfectly good dreams because they didn't work for some reason here, and we just forge onto something else. That we choose new beginnings when actually what we need to do is go back. I feel for me that at some point in my year in 2024, my year was going one particular way, and then I sheared off somewhere to the left. And I think that some of my true route was actually meant to be further north, but I end up going way off track, way west, way east. Maybe you did that. Maybe some calamity or crisis or something happened, or maybe some success you weren't planning for happened, and you ended up going way off up here. And the thing for me about old beginnings is saying to myself, all right, I can't go back and change time. I can't go back and change whatever I did up here when I went slightly a different direction than I should have. But maybe what I can do, if regardless of where we go, 2025 is here and 2024 went off up here, what I can do is, as best as I can manage, I can try to double back to where I thought I would do something. I had passion, I had a dream, I had a vision, I had a word around my life. As much as I can go back and go, well, actually, hold on. Instead of trying new things and just driving on and forgetting what is behind me, maybe I can go back and say, actually, okay, what should I have done here? What can be recovered here? Recovery, you know? What can be restored here? Important words, man. So old beginnings. I have a blank wall just behind me here. Look, this board here. And generally between Christmas and New Year, I'll try and strip it of all the stuff that has built up on it over the previous year. This year it was loads of drawings and all sorts of stuff. You probably would have seen it in the intro. And stripping of it and bringing it back to a bare board is a little bit of a thing where it's like, okay, clear the decks. But I think actually there's probably some stuff that should have gone on that board last year. Old beginnings. Instead of just newbie, instead of just being done with it, on next new. No, wait, what if there's gold in the hills of last year? What if we need to go back and mine it and go back and grab it? I'm sure there's a few things, if you can concentrate and write it down and think about it, there's probably more than a few things where you think, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done this. It's a good practice. I did this yesterday, just stripping the wall off and having a bare wall. And normally what I would do is then I'd get some sheets of paper and I'd start to plan about my year and think about my year. And I'm going to do my year very differently this year. I'm going to do my year in 8-week chunks. I'm not going to think about 2025. I'm going to think about the next 8 weeks as a section of time. What can I get done in those 8 weeks? Because I finally completed that project that had been on my heart for 16 years, that book, Become Jelly. And I did it in 8 weeks. Because I gave myself a target. I was given a target with friends and help and encouragement. I was amazed at what could happen in 8 weeks if you saw that as a finite window. So I'm now going to do my year, my 2025, in 8-week chunks. Really clear, really clarity, just really focused. But before I do that, before I sit down and just try and blitz out a bunch of new things to do, I'm going to do some old things. I'm going to go back. Old beginnings. Put it on the board. 2025. Old beginnings. Anyway, Happy New Year. Accidental moustache, by the way, in case you were wondering. Went to a fancy dress party now last night as open from Frozen. And yeah, anyway, I kind of like the moustache. kind of thinking it's a thing now. Big thing. For old beginners. I should have had a moustache last year. Anyway, bless you guys. See you in the next one. Happy New Year.